welcome to a new vlog and ship tour, and today we're going to take a look at the AIDAbella, a German cruise ship of AIDA Cruises. And as always, we are starting our full ship tour through all public areas of the ship with some general facts. AIDAbella is 251.89 meters long, 37.6 meters wide, and has a gross tonnage of 69,203. She is part of the Sphinx class, the second ship of the Sphinx class, together with her sisters Luna and Diva. And then there's also the Blue, Sol, Ma and Stella. Those are almost identical sister ships. They are slightly bigger and therefore they are also called the Ikraus class. AIDAbella has 1039 cabins for around 2,500 passengers, and she was taken into service in 2008. And in the next year, in 2025, she will get a huge refit, but we will take a look at her as she is looking now in the year 2024, and we are starting as always on the lowest deck of the ship, which is deck number 3, and there we have the Pier 3 bar, where you can get a drink before going on excursion when the ship is using the tender boats. Also the tender pier is located here and the hospital. And that's already it for deck number 3, and we can skip deck number 4 because there are only cabins, so we continue on deck number 5. Here on deck number 5 we can find the reception, which of course is one of the most important parts of the ship, where you can get all your questions and problems solved. Here we can see the pictures. As always, I also included some pictures in my ship tour. And additionally to the reception you can also find an internet terminal here, and you can also check your onboard balance, and there is also an excursion counter. Additionally to that, there's also the kids club on deck number 5 and also the promenade, and we will take a look at those things now. So we are heading now through the cabin hallway, because most of deck 5 is also cabins. And here we have one of the exits to the promenade. And the promenade is always one of my favorite parts of the ship, because for most cabins, I usually have the cabins on the lower decks. So for me this is the easiest and fastest way to get outside, and also it's a calm alternative to the sun decks of the ship. Here on the AIDAbella you also have some sun lounges on the promenade, so you can also enjoy the sun and the view here from the promenade deck. We're now getting back inside, continuing our tour, heading out of the ship, where we will find the kids club. As I said, otherwise there are mainly cabins here on deck number 5, so we can use the time lapse again to get a bit faster after the ship, where we will find the kids club. AIDAbella has 2 main staircases, one in the front and one in the back. We are now at the main staircase after the ship, and from here we still continue aft to get to the kids club. AIDA is a cruise company that is intended for families, so also they take a lot of care for kids and teens, and therefore we have this huge kids club with a theater, and also of course with an outdoor area with a small swimming pool. So it's a quite nice area for the kids here on board. Here we can also see the picture of the kids club. And that's already it for deck number 5. We've now seen all public areas of deck number 5. And therefore we are now using the time lapse again, going back to the rear staircase of the ship. We can skip deck 6, deck 7 and deck 8 because there are only cabins on these decks. So we are now already on deck number 9. And here on deck number 9, at the rear part of the ship, we have the main restaurant on board, which is the Marktrestaurant, market restaurant. As the name implies, it is designed like a market with different areas where you can get your food. It is a buffet style restaurant, which is typical for AIDA, and as it is the most popular restaurant on board, for dinner there are 2 seating times. There are 2 seatings, so they can make sure that you will always get a table quite easily here at the market restaurant. Food is pretty good in AIDA, but I will talk more about this in the upcoming videos. Here we can see the design of the restaurant. We will see some more restaurants of course later on, but this one is the biggest restaurant on board. We are now heading to the front of the ship, and we are getting right into the shopping area. And as you know, I'm always making these videos very early in the morning when all other passengers are sleeping, so I don't have to blur faces. But it also means that some areas are still closed. For example, here These walls we can see on the right and on the left of the shopping area can get removed completely, but now of course the shop is still closed. But it's a quite spacious shop with everything you can imagine, like perfumes, souvenirs, clothing and everything else you can imagine or might need on a cruise ship is available here. Right next to it we have the art gallery. Here you can buy art. Also sometimes you can bid on the art. Then there is a show in the Theatrum, which we'll see in a second. And you can also bid on these pieces of art. You can see the pictures of the art gallery. And on the other side we have a small bar counter. And we are already getting into the Theatrum. The Theatrum is the heart of the ship, and we will see it in a second. Here in the background we have the so-called Fernweh-Experten, which is the onboard travel agency. You can book your next cruise here, Future Cruises desk. We also have the possibility to book some more excursions here on board. We will take a look at that bar later on. Now it's time to take a look at the Theatrum. The Theatrum is a very unique thing you will only find on the AIDA ships. And the basic idea is to combine an atrium with a theater. So there's no typical theater on this ship, but instead we have the Theatrum. It has advantages and disadvantages. Main advantage, of course, is you can join the show whenever you want, and if you don't like a show, you can leave. And you can also just listen to a show, to a singer from the bars around. Disadvantage is, of course, you will always have people walking around during the shows, and it's a bit more noisy than a classic theater. So it's up to you what you prefer, but here on the AIDA you have this concept of the Theatrum. Here we have the first speciality restaurant, which is a sushi restaurant, and the sushi on board is amazing. You will see that later on in the vlogs, but it's not included, so you have to pay extra if you want to enjoy sushi on board. On the other side we have the Bella bar, named after the ship obviously, which is one of the bars in the Theatrum. So also here you can take a seat and at least listen to the shows. Every evening there is the prime time where the cruise director is having a speech talking about the next days, doing some interviews with crew on board, just like an evening show but live on board. And maybe you just want to listen to it, but you don't need to see the cruise director speaking, the entertainment manager here on board of AIDA. And then you can also sit in the bar. We're now one deck higher, we are on deck 10, and here we have the biggest bar on board, which is the AIDA bar. AIDA bar is in the front of the ship, and as I said, the most spacious bar on board. Before we can take a closer look at that bar, we can also take a look at the casino. If you're not from Germany, you might think this is a pretty small casino. Compared to international ships, it is a small casino, but other German ships do not have a casino at all. For some reason, Germans do not really like casinos, so many German ships don't have casinos. And compared to them, we do have a pretty big one here on the AIDAbella. And now we can take a closer look at the AIDA bar. Here on the right side we have comfortable seating options, and on the left side we have the proper bar, which is considered to be the longest bar at sea due to the shape of a star. Here we can see the picture of the seating area, which is quite comfortable, not looking very modern anymore, and I think that this might get replaced by a bit more modern furniture next year when the ship is getting the huge refit. And now we are at the AIDA lounge right at the front of the ship, and here you have a very nice view. Also you have a library where you can borrow books and games. You can also play the games. Here on the right side there are some tables especially made for playing games or puzzling. And here we have this wonderful AIDA lounge with this fantastic view. Unfortunately not that much seats available, so you have to be lucky to get one, and I haven't tried them, so I don't know if they are comfortable. To me they do not really look comfortable, but if you have been on an AIDA ship, let me know if these seats are comfortable. Well, what I can tell you is there are not that much seats available, so there would have been more space to put some additional seats here. But of course you can also take a seat here in the AIDA bar where we are back right now on the other side. And of course the AIDA bar is also one of the main bars on board and therefore has a lot of activities. There are shows, dancing lessons, games, and anything you can imagine music, of course, because here on the right side we have a huge stage. And yeah, it's the most important bar on board, one of the main meeting points on board. And of course, as I said, there are a lot of activities here in the AIDA bar. We're now continuing to go back aft of the ship, and here we can see the Photoshop, and this has been changed lately. We have now a modern Photoshop where you can take a look at your pictures digitally, and that's why this area seems to be a bit oversized, because earlier on they printed all pictures and then you could decide if you want to buy them or not, and if you didn't buy them they got thrown away. So this was a huge waste of paper and money, so they changed to the digital system, which of course doesn't need that much space. So this area seems to be a bit too big now, but they used it, for example, as a photo studio, so they found a different purpose for this area. And we are back at the Theatrum. Here we have the small sunset bar where you can also get drinks. They have a few seats, but you can of course also take the drinks with you into the Theatrum to watch the show with a nice drink. As I said, this is the advantage of the Theatrum. You're quite free in what you want to do. If you want to take a drink, if you want to sit there, if you want to leave a show, if you want to join a show later on during the show, that's all possible in a Theatrum, which sometimes can be a bit difficult in a classic theater. Here we can see some more pictures of the Theatrum, which stretches over 3 decks, and from all decks you have a quite good view, as you can see here. And now we are continuing to the rear part of the ship, and we are now going through the Vinothek. Which is a wine bar, so here you can enjoy some more wines than on the regular menu. It's just a very, very small bar. You can see the picture of the Vinothek, a wine bar, and from there we are continuing into one of the newest parts of the ship, because this part already has been refurbished recently, and this is the Almhütte, which would translate to chalet or alpine cabin, and it means that this is a restaurant like typically for the skiing areas of Austria or Bavaria, so in the Bavarian Austrian style. You also have Bavarian and Austrian kitchen here. So this is a restaurant and a bar, so you can have some drinks here, you can also have some food here. Food is included, for the drinks you need to pay. And there are also a lot of events here in this bar, mostly themed to Schlager music, but there are also some other events that you might associate with the Alps, with the mountains. And as I said, this has been recently refurbished, so I think this will stay the same even during the big renovation next year. From the Almhütte we are continuing on to the back of the ship, and there we have another restaurant, which is the second most important restaurant on board, the Weite Welt restaurant, like Wide World restaurant. Another buffet style restaurant. There are two big differences to the market restaurant. The menu is different, and also here in this restaurant we have an outdoor area, but we will take a look at the outdoor area later on. We're now going back through the Almhütte back into the Theatrum, because on the other side we do have some more areas that we're going to take a look at before we can take a look at the casino again. And from the casino we're now heading back to the rear part of the ship, but on the other side, on the starboard side, and there we have two more public areas. We have a cafe, the Café Mare, which serves Starbucks cafe, and behind the Café Mare there you have the Buffalo Steakhouse, which is another speciality restaurant, so it's not included in the price. Café Mare also not included, but every day there's a coffee time and then you can get some cake, which is included. And behind that, as I said, is the Buffalo Steakhouse. This you have to pay completely. Nothing is included in the Buffalo Steakhouse, as this is a specialty restaurant. It was closed, so I can only take a short look through the door, and that's why we're now heading back to the staircase here in the middle in the Theatrum with these huge panoramic windows, which are also very typical for the Sphinx class. And here we are now heading up to the next deck. We are continuing now on deck number 11, which is also the highest deck of the Theatrum. So these stairs are quite nice, as I said, very typical for this ship class, and you have a fantastic view over the ocean from here. You can see this quite interesting architecture. Just took a picture of it. And we are heading to the front of the ship, past some more pictures, and here we have the body and soul sports area. On the right side we have an open area which can be used for courses like spinning courses and courses where you need to do some sports on the floor. And then on the other side we have the typical gym where you have a lot of sports equipment, and the sports equipment here is very, very good as it is brand new. When I was on board in May, it was just brought on board a few days earlier, so still this is very, very new sports equipment here on board. Very high quality, and it's a very nice gym. Also you have a fantastic view. That's also quite good for motivation when you're on a stepper, for example, and you can enjoy the view of the port or the fjords of Norway or the ocean. So very nice gym. And from the gym we are heading back. And there we are in another bar, and that is the Time Out bar. Looking a bit more tropical with those fake palm trees and a bit more colorful chairs. And also this is one of those bars where you can sit down and still listen to the show in the Theatrum, and you can of course also take the drinks with you. We're now going to take a look at the highest part of the Theatrum. And also there are some more public areas here around. For example, another excursion office which is intended for the sporty excursions like bike tours and hiking tours. And now we're going to take a closer look at the Theatrum on the third deck. And also from up here you have quite good views, as we have also a huge, very modern stage on board with very good productions. And as you can see also from here, the view is pretty good. And so you can choose if you want to sit down right next to the stage, where you also might get involved in some programs, or if you want to make sure that you're for sure will not be included in any kind of program and nobody will ask anything, you can just go to the third deck, which is very far away from the stage, and you still have a pretty decent view. So we are now continuing on to the first outdoor area. Here we have another picture of this area here around the Theatrum, and before heading outside we have another bar, and that is the ice bar. So there you can get some nice and fresh ice cream. On the right side we have these lounge beds where you can cuddle and watch the show on the TV. Also quite nice. Here we have the ice bar where you can get some ice cream. This, by the way, is only available here on the Bella and not on her sisters Luna and Diva, at least at the moment. That might change with the renovation, but currently the ice bar is only available here on the Bella. And now we're outside for the first time, except for the promenade. Here we have some nice and comfortable seating. We have a DJ booth, because this area here is also used for parties. As you can see, we have a big stage, and during the day those sound lounges that you can see here will be spread around this huge area, but in the evening they will get removed, and then this might be used for parties. For example, the famous silent party, which I will talk about in an upcoming video. Here we also have a small pool and a grandstand which we can use if there is a movie shown, for example, or there is a show on the stage. On the side, some more seating options, and then we have yet another bar, and that is the beach bar. Of course, still closed. As I said, I was doing this ship tour very early in the morning, so those public areas were still closed. And here we have the most luxurious restaurant on board, the restaurant Rossini, which is a fine dining restaurant with a Michelin star style kitchen. Very, very good. I didn't try it here on the Bella, but I visited the Rossini on the Luna and the Aura, and it was amazing. So I can recommend visiting the Rossini, of course. You need to pay extra there, but it's worth the money. And then on the other side we have two more restaurants. We have the Bella Vista restaurant and the Best Pizza at Sea. Best Pizza at Sea offers some actually pretty good pizza. Here on the right side we can take a look into the restaurant Best Pizza at Sea, and on the left side we have the entrance to the Bella Vista restaurant, which is another buffet style restaurant, also with a small outdoor area, and we will gonna take a look at these outdoor areas later on. But for now we're going up one more deck. We are now on deck number 12. And here we have the famous time tunnel, which is the entrance to the Anytime bar. Very typical for AIDA. But before getting there, we're turning right. There we have some arcade games, we have air hockey and other games you can play. So this is an area mainly intended for kids and teens, but of course everybody can use it. And here we can see this whole area. Here we have the air hockey table. So also quite nice area for kids and teens mainly. Here we have some pictures of this area. Here we have the card games, and here we have a picture of the whole area. And now we're turning around, and now we're going through the time tunnel to get into the Anytime bar. The Anytime bar is the nightclub and disco on all AIDA ships. And as far as I know, on all ships you also have this entrance, which is very typical. And now we're heading into the Anytime bar, which is mainly open in the evening, of course. Might also be open during the day. For this you have to check the daily program, of course. This is the indoor area, and there's also an outdoor area that we're going to take a look at in a few minutes. And there is always a good party here in the Anytime bar with the live DJs and quite loud music. So this is a proper nightclub. We're now heading back through the time tunnel and heading outside. We're now going again aft of the ship, heading back to the Anytime bar. And the Anytime bar has a sister bar. I would call it sister bar because basically it's the same bar, but it has two different names, because the outdoor area is called the Ocean bar and the indoor area is the Anytime bar. Opening times can be very different between those two bars, but it's actually the same location, so it's the same crew, and it's just an indoor and an outdoor area. But the Ocean bar is probably open more during the day, and the Anytime bar is open in the evening and in the night. But they share the same outdoor area, and also Anytime bar does have an own outdoor area. Here on the right side you can see a crew member opening the door of the Anytime bar, so now you can see that the Anytime bar has an outdoor area, which is also quite nice. If you're on the ocean and the weather is nice, you can have a party outside. And now, as promised, we are heading back down. Here we have the small outdoor area of the Bella Vista restaurant. Just a few tables, so here you have to be lucky to get a table if you want to eat outside. But we're heading down one more deck to the Weite Welt restaurant, which also have an outdoor area, but this outdoor area is pretty spacious. So obviously the tables are fixed, chairs will be removed in the night and then they will be brought back when the restaurant opens. So that's why it's looking a bit strange right now. But here you have a lot of tables, a lot of space. So here you have good chances to get a table and enjoy your meal in the sun with this fantastic view. And the good thing is, even for breakfast, you can already sit outside if the weather permits. And on my cruise the weather was amazing. So I was here for breakfast almost every day, outside enjoying the first rays of sunshine, but we will see this later on in the vlogs. So we are now back up on deck number 12, but we're going up to deck 14. Here after the ship we have the sports area with a sports court which is covered by a net, so balls are not going overboard in the ocean. You can play football, basketball safely. And there's also the jogging track, and the jogging track is pretty short, but it has a huge advantage compared to other ships, because on some ships the jogging track is above cabins. And if the first person is starting with jogging in the morning at like 5 o'clock, they will wake up everybody who is sleeping below. But here there are no cabins anywhere close to the jogging track, so nobody can be disturbed by people jogging early in the morning. And we are heading back down to deck number 12. There is no deck 13, which is an unlucky number in Germany. That's why no deck 13. From here you have a nice view over the pool deck, but also here you have some additional sun lounges. And we're now heading back to the front of the ship, and there we have some more swimming pools. Well, actually they're not swimming pools, they're just pools, because they are not intended for swimming. They're more for relaxation, for just enjoying being in the sun, being in the water, but they are not big enough for a proper swim. But that's typical for AIDA, because this ship, as I said, is mainly intended for families. And that's why also the pools are more intended for children and kids. We also have some more space for sun lounges, and of course there's also a pool bar available, which is also called the pool bar. See it here on the right side, and what I think is pretty cute, they have these little stairs here that also children can access the bar, get the drinks themselves. So as I said, AIDA takes care of children on board. And behind the pool bar there is a hidden area. It's not that much hidden, but you might miss it, where you can sit completely covered, also windproofed, but still outside, so quite interesting for smokers. If the weather is not good, you can sit here without being in the rain. And we're heading further on to the front, to the Body and Soul spa area. You have to pay to use the spa area. I did this on the Luna, so if you watch my old video from AIDA Luna, you will see how this area looks from the inside. Here I didn't pay for it because it's only worth the money if you want to use the sauna or massage, but just to get into this wellness area it's not worth it. I will show you how it looks later on through a window when we are one deck higher. Here we can just see the entrance with another bar. And as I said, don't visit this area just for the pool, because there are just some additional whirlpools and a nice looking area, but this area is intended for everybody who wants to use the saunas and the other amenities that you can find there. So make sure to check out what you get there before making the reservation. And we are now back on deck 14. Here we have those beach chairs with a nice view over the pool area. We're continuing on to the front, but before we can take another look at the pictures of the beach chairs and the sun deck, and then we are heading to the front where we have the last public areas of the ship. If you go up here, we have the FKK area. And you shouldn't go there if you don't know what that means, because FKK or FKK pronounced in English would be the nudist area. So there you can only be nude, which a lot of Germans do like. It's nothing for me, but many Germans, especially older Germans, do like to be nude in the sun. Of course, it's also good if you want to go sunbathing without tan lines, then you can go there, because this is an area where you have to be naked. So don't go there if you're not sure what FKK means. It means everybody there is naked. And here we can take a look into this spa area. So looks quite nice, but as I said, only go there if you want to use the sauna and the amenities, not just for the pool, because it's just another whirlpool. And one of my favorite parts of the ship is here at the front, this viewing area where you can enjoy this fantastic view over the ship's bow. And now we've seen all public areas of this wonderful ship of the AIDAbella. And in the next videos I will show you, of course, my cabin and what a life on board is like. So make sure to stick around for the next videos. Here you can see when this video will be uploaded and also the name of the song. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to comment, like or share the video link. And if you want to see more cruise videos, ship tours or travel videos, make sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video then.